So much going on. There's so much going on, but every day climate change is proceeding, and so let's touch base. Donald Trump has had a few attempts at the question, how seriously do you take climate change? What are you gonna do about it? We've had, the whole conversation about the Green New Deal now. Greta Thunberg is gonna be, she's all over the place. So he has had an opportunity to learn. Let's see what he does in his latest at bat.
Honestly, climate change is very important to me. And I've done many environmental impact statements over my life, and I believe very strongly in very, very crystal clear, clean water and clean air. That's a big part of climate change.
Nope, it's not.
It's a big part.
It's not. They're not unrelated, but it's not a big part of it. It's not like, well, if you can drink the water and it's clean, guess we don't have to worry about carbon concentrations. It's the same thing every time. We're asking you about a specific thing. Overall heating having to do with the carbon that we're emitting into the atmosphere, and he can't not talk about clean air and clean water, which by the way is a dodge because he doesn't care about those things, and his environmental policies are horrible for those as well.
Exactly. That was gonna be my point. So you're talking about you care about it, but what are you doing about it? Again, every time he says, and I've said it many, many times, that I care about clean air and clean water. What have you done about it then? Because you're the president. We know how you care about tax because you did something about that. We know how much you care about deregulating corporations because you did that as well. You do things that you care about. You don't do things that you don't care about. So again, also when he talks about the African American unemployment, which one of your policies has initiated or helped out with unemployment numbers? And also, what have you done to help with climate change since you care about it so much? Which policies? Ask him some specifics and make him go, I said it.
Yeah, look, if you please, you know what you should do? You should watch the Damage Report all the time. But if you look at our analysis of the changes they've made to the way that coal plants are regulated, that has increased certain types of emissions. We've even told you estimates of how many additional people have died each year as a result of that new pollution in the air when it comes to the water. Obama's Waters of the US rule, they revoked that, allowing more dumping of things into rivers and streams. That makes the water less clean. So even if those two things were connected, or even if we were ignoring climate change connection to air and water, which we should because they're not directly connected, you have not been doing right by the air. You certainly haven't been doing right by the water. So you're doing a dodge, which is something where you're arguably even worse than you are on climate change. But I have one more video for you, and that has to do with one of the effects of climate change, rising sea levels. So let's see what happens.
Concerned about rising sea levels at all, Chairman?
I'm concerned about everything, but I'm also concerned about nuclear proliferation, which I think is a very important topic, and it's a topic that we're going to discuss today. The whole situation with nuclear to me is very, very important, as we've been discussing today at the various meetings that we've had. I think that's something that has to be taken care of, and it has to be dealt with very strongly. Okay.
You were an alien and you had been like, you tapped all of our communications and you were listening, you were like, okay, we want to learn English. Let's go to the president. They've chosen him as their leader, he's smart. So you could have listened to everything he said for the last 30 years, you'd have no idea what the word strongly means because it means everything and nothing. It doesn't mean anything. So asked about rising sea levels, a gigantic threat that's going to destroy tens, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars of real estate in the United States alone. It's going to force the relocation of literally millions of people. Worst storms for decades leading up to it. His answer is, I'm concerned about everything. I'm also concerned about nuclear proliferation. The situation with nuclear is really bad.
Which situation? Again, what about nuclear? And then, so John, you may ask me, hey, so Jay, are you hungry? You gonna go to lunch today? Hey, is there a food truck outside? You wanna go check out the food truck? I was like, actually, I was thinking about lunch, and I'm gonna take my car down to the shop and get the oil change, because I've been needing that oil change for a while now. I care deeply about my oil change. You go, what the hell are you talking about? I was asking you about lunch. Why did you pivot to oil change? You'd go, something's wrong with JR.
Yeah, and we know that for all that he says that he doesn't accept the science of climate change and he certainly doesn't care about sea level rise, we know that his actual properties are preparing for it in the US and abroad. When it comes to his money, they accept that this is happening. But really important, We don't have time. Okay, so there is also updated information on the effects that his tariffs on solar panels have had on the solar industry in the United States. I wanna give that the time that it deserves, so we'll be covering that a little bit later on. But just if you had hoped that this international conversation, generally being led by a youth movement around the world to do something about the climate crisis might have finally gotten through to Donald Trump, it has not. And Greta Thunberg, when asked, would she meet with the president, she said that would be a waste of my time. Once again, she nailed it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.